Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Joe Palmer begins now.
Good evening, everyone. There could be light at the end of the tunnel for the embattled Royal Hobart Hospital after years of chronic overcrowding, long emergency wait times and bed block. Tonight, we take a sneak peek inside one of the largest construction projects in Tasmania's recent history. But there's still a long way to go before mounting pressure on patients and staff begins to ease.
In less than a year, these halls will be filled with patients. The $700 million Royal Hobart Hospital redevelopment taking shape as the current site struggles with chronic overcrowding.
The hospital needed more space and more capacity, and it also needed, state-of-the-art current areas so it can provide the services it really wants to provide for the state.
Just a slab at the start of the year, the 10-storey structure seeing around 400 workers over the course of the build, which includes a new helipad, a first for the state's major hospital.
Time equals risk, and the risk of deterioration or lives that might be lost. This way we can buy that time.
So actually the landing site, or if you like the front door entry, for a lot of people who will require an emergency or surgical service in a hurry who don't live in Hobart, we could be saving up to 9 lives per year because it's about saving time. 250
new beds will progressively be rolled out when the block is completed. But some medical professionals already say that's not enough to keep up with demand. Changes still being made to the site's layout despite its looming deadline.
It wouldn't delay the project, but we're certainly open-minded to the best way that we can use this campus, and we look forward to the master plan being provided by the clinical planning force.
The redevelopment due to be complete by August next year. Michelle Wisby, 7 Tasmania News.
In developing news, the Environment Protection Authority has confirmed it's considering legal options against the owner of an oil rig moored in the River Derwent. The Ocean Monarch arrived in Hobart last month to undergo maintenance. Soon after, the EPA says it started following up concerns of a potential biosecurity risk on the rig's hull. Wanting to check for a marine pest found in Western Australian waters, the EPA says it's made several requests to inspect the rig, but that's been knocked back by the company. Authorities are now considering the legal requirements to undertake a visual inspection before the rig leaves the river. New documents have revealed the boss of Tasmania's Primary Industries Department relocated his office 2 days a week, moving him closer to the minister he was having an affair with. John Withington and former Primary Industries Minister Sarah Courtenay travelled on a trade mission together in September. Documents show just days after their return, an email was sent to staff saying Dr Whittington would start working part-time from Miss Courtenay's electorate and would need an office. But the government said the move was in line with its policy to relocate department staff to the north of the state.
It's important that we do have not just a Hobart-centric public service, but indeed a department whose job is to support industries that are regionally dispersed around our state, be supported by our public servants as well.
I don't think it passes a pub test, that after establishing a relationship with the Minister, the Secretary now thinks it's important that he works in Launceston, where the Minister lived.
Ms Courtenay has since left the portfolio to avoid any conflict of interest. Police are still hunting for 2 men on the run after an Invermay man was shot in the face on Monday night. The 33-year-old was taken to the Royal Hobart Hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. Police say the incident was targeted and they are looking to speak with 2 men seen in the area. Anyone with information is urged to contact Crime Stoppers. Boat ramp inspections are revealing potentially deadly flaws with inflatable life jackets. Mast says it's shocked at the state of some of the devices it found, and because they aren't being serviced and maintained, they could fail when they're needed most.
Jumping into the water with an inflatable life jacket. This is what a good deployment looks like. The device worn properly and maintained, it could be a lifesaver if this wasn't just a demonstration.
You go boating and you never expect it to happen to, so you have your life jacket, you're doing the right thing, but you never expect to use it. So actually jumping in and experiencing that was quite good. It certainly worked well. I had the crotch strap on.
As part of a campaign, Marine and Safety Tasmania has been inspecting inflatable life jackets at popular boat ramps. The results shocking.
We call them a bit of a death trap at the moment, and what we found just shattered us. The condition of the jackets, rusty cylinders that weren't even in the jacket. The jackets just wouldn't have worked, and it's not good enough.
People potentially face a $165 fine. And also the possibility that they may have to be turned back to the shore.
Stormy Life Jackets at Mornington has been making inflatables for 25 years. Their mission to get people to don life vests by making them unrestrictive and easy to wear. They've heard countless stories where they've saved lives, but they do need to be serviced.
It's a simple pressure test, a little bit of maintenance along the way, and it will certainly contribute if you should ever need it in an overboard emergency.
It's developed an online register for all brands of inflatables, which tracks maintenance and sends out reminders. Its newer jackets also featuring special indicators.
If one of these little indicators was showing red, it will show you your cylinder's loose or your cartridge has been fired, and if you've got a red showing through your pocket, you know that you need to do some maintenance on your life jacket.
The majority of Tasmanians think they're doing the right thing. They wear their life jackets, but the reality is there's a lot of boaties out there with life jackets that are just not going to pop, and if they're not going to pop, they're not going to work. They're absolutely useless if you end up in the water.
Demonstrations also showing a struggle for those who fail to zip up and those who don't use a crotch strap. Michael Breen, 7 Tasmanian News.
Police have encouraged all Tasmanians to report cases of suspected drink spiking to authorities following widespread community concern over the festive season. It comes after a Hobart woman collapsed on a footpath last week after she suspected her drink was spiked. Tasmania Police today said cases were very rare, but it conducted thorough investigations when incidents were reported.
The alcohol that you may have drunk, talking to witnesses that have been around you at that particular period in time, looking at the medication you might have been on or the medication you may have taken, and we'll conduct an investigation to try and identify if that has actually occurred.
Authorities also encouraging anyone who suspects their drink has been spiked to seek urgent medical attention. More than 100 shoplifters have been banned from stepping foot in Launceston stores. Police are cracking down on thieves with 105 trespass notices slapped on offenders. More than $15,000 of stolen property has been recovered by police since September. There has also been a 20% increase in people charged with stealing. The Hobart City Council has rejected a proposal to cap the city's building height limits at 45 metres. Following a heated debate last night, the council instead decided to further investigate the potential impact height restrictions would have on the city. It comes after an independent report commissioned by the council itself recommended the height limits be set at 75 metres in the CBD. A second report will now be prepared. Old wounds have been reopened from the forest wars as the Liberals step up their efforts to win back seats at the federal election. It's accusing Labor of trying to revive the Tasmanian Forest Agreement, but the opposition has rubbished the claim.
Bringing an old battle out of the woodwork. Old wounds run deep for Tasmania's sawmillers.
Through the whole collapse and disaster of 2010 to 2013-14, I nearly lost everything. The only thing that I ended up retaining was the sawmill.
More than 70 people used to work for Michael Kelly's timber business. Now it's just 12. He says the industry is at last stable, but as the Liberals look to claw back seats lost to Labor in 2016, they argue the opposition will lock up more native forests by reprising the original Tasmanian Forest Agreement.
Well, so at their national conference, they've reinforced the principles of the Tasmanian Forest Deal. They've said that they want to continue that. I understand that it is still Tasmanian Labor policy as well, and it's just a disaster for the Tasmanian forest industry.
State Labor has pulped the claim.
Look, the federal government is in complete chaos, and that's a spurious claim. Labor is a strong supporter of the forest industry and will continue to be a strong supporter of the forest industry into the future.
Federal Labor says the government is just making it all up, and it's sticking by native forests and plantations. The Greens want industrial native clear felling stopped altogether.
This is just about Richard Colbeck trying to restart the forest wars, and it's the last desperate play from a dying government that knows it's going to lose the next election.
Sean McComish, 7 Tasmania News.
A Tasmanian author is among those donating time and gifts this Christmas. In a special visit to sick patients in hospital, Greg Ray handed out copies of his book, Why Dogs Don't Bark at Santa Claus, bringing smiles to those in need.
So why is it dogs don't bark when Santa comes after dark with gifts to offer all around, yet not disturb the family hound?
A riddle so relevant this time of year, but don't worry, there will be no more rhyming here. We'll leave that to children's author Greg Ray, who is spreading his words to those spending this Christmas in hospital.
Whenever we think we're on tough times, just go to a hospital and visit a kid's ward and you realise that you don't know what tough is.
He's hand-delivering copies of his popular books to those in the children's ward.
Well, I bought 2 books today, Why Dogs Don't Bark at Santa, which is really the Christmas book that I was intending to give them. But I also bought another which is very popular with boys, which is Why Dogs Sniff Bums. The story begins with a doggy dance and ends in the strangest of circumstances.
A small gift which means so much to those like young Lockie, who was about to undergo chemotherapy.
And boy, you know, he's a tough little character, and I brought a smile to his face, I hope, so that's the most you can get out of this, and it's a joy.
It was just one of the positive gestures taking place in Tasmania today. Hundreds of books and toys now under Christmas trees around the state, thanks to donations to charity The Smith Family. Mother of 4, NATASHA Stewart, says it's a huge help.
With a large family, yeah, it can be very hard. There's always normally a book in there for them to read. Also puzzles and stuff, and they're all age appropriate as well, which comes in handy. Yeah.
We're doing this all around the state today, so in Launceston and also in Wynyard. There's around about 700 gifts that'll be going out to over the community, so you know, a great, awesome and festive way to end the year.
While in Hobart's CBD, the choir of High Hopes performed its annual Christmas carols. After rehearsing every week since February, this is the main stage for the group, which has been putting on its festive end-of-year show for the past 12 years. Tom Johnson, 7 Tasmania News.
Good food, a glass of wine each night and fabulous friends. That's the secret to a long and happy life, according to Tasmania's newest centenarian. On her 100th birthday, Longford's Rita Blaisley raised a glass to a mountain of memories surrounded by the people she loves.
Looking back on a long life in Longford, Rita Blaisley says it's the simple things which have helped her last.
Eat well, drink well, and be honest with yourself and everybody else.
And it's these friends surrounding Rita today which have been her most consistent company. She never married, having called off an engagement because, back in those days, she would have had to quit her job, and nursing in Latrobe was something she loved too much. But it meant she could travel Australia and the world, having seen almost every continent during her century.
Left a few marks around the country. Quite good marks, really.
She's never been without one friend in her later years, though, her faithful dog Maggie, who is also turning 100 in dog years. Rita has relished her good health and spirit for adventure.
Always been able to do things which makes a difference.
And all there is to do now is cut the cake and sing Happy birthday to you, happy birthday to you, happy birthday dear Rita, happy birthday to you. Today's special moment was also shared with the Prime Minister, the Governor-General and the Queen, who sent commemorative cards. A proud moment to top off a terrific day.
It means that I am an Australian, a Tasmanian. It means that I honour the country and love the country.
Tom Johnson, 7 Tasmania News.
The Tasmanian Museum and Art Gallery is showing off technology that could be a game changer for exhibits. An augmented reality experience has been set up as part of the popular Dinosaur Revolution show. Using smart devices, it brings a fossil to life.
We're really showing how we can use AR, augmented reality, to bring to life what is otherwise a fairly static dinosaur fossil.
This is very interesting because it has 238 separate bones that we have to animate in 3 separate planes, about 60 times a second. So if you meet our animator now, you'll find he doesn't have any hair left, but he's done a fantastic job.
It's the latest augmented reality experience developed by HANDBUILT Creative using the UST app. Another 50 projects are set to be released on the platform in coming weeks.
The Hobart Hurricanes have come up painfully short in their must-win clash against the Perth Scorchers at Blunston Arena, looking like a sure victory with a few overs left of play. Missed chances came back to haunt the Canes as the match came down to a super over. It was do or die for the Canes and their openers batted accordingly. Fazakerley bouncing back from a lean few games by sending it into the Blunston stands.
This time she steps across and whacks it into the Ricky Ponting stand.
Montana refusing to be outdone.
Goes again and yep.
The Indian the first to fall on 38, Fazakerley following suit shortly after.
No, she does an excellent catch there.
Undeterred, Defara treated the Scorchers' attack with disdain, but Heather Knight couldn't muster another big performance in front of the home crowd as the Cane train began to stall.
And goes at the stumps and bowls her as well.
The side skipper providing some last-minute runs to set the Scorchers a healthy chase of 173. The girls from Perth showing no sympathy to the Canes' cause, with Hepburn eventually stepping in to stem the damage. Elise Villani the next to go, but her impact had already been felt. A couple of quick scalps giving the home side some hope, and suddenly the game was theirs to lose. But a missed opportunity in the field came back to haunt them as the Scorchers levelled things on the final ball to send it to a super over.
And there's a super over.
Hepburn given the job with the ball, which suited Nicole Bolton just fine. Needing 17 runs to keep the finals dream alive, it wasn't to be despite Knight's best efforts, as the Canes were once again left pondering what could have been. And finally in sport, a group of young Tasmanian volleyballers has returned home triumphant, with the state punching well above its weight at the Australian Schools Cup in Melbourne. Up against the best young sides in the country, both the Grade 8 Division 1 boys and Grade 8 Division 2 girls came away with gold medals.
It was a really great feeling, and we had our friends from Queensland as well to support us, so it was just great because we didn't know we were going to win the whole div, so it was a great feeling.
The Schools Cup is the largest annual youth sporting event in the Southern Hemisphere.
Good evening. A bit of a dip in temperatures today saw most sitting below average. Hobart 16 degrees, Launceston, Cressy and Strawn the high with 22, Burnie and Devonport 20. A few isolated and scattered showers. Mount Arthur received 5 millimetres. But on the temperature stakes, Smithton 21, Ouse and the Islands 20, Lowhead and St Helens 19 today, Friendly Beaches 17 and Grove 16. A little bit of low cloud tracked over most of the state today and circulated around a low pressure zone over Western Bass Strait. That same formation covered eastern Victoria and the southern New South Wales coast. More sits over southern WA. A trough brought thunderstorms to the Bight as well. Tomorrow the high moves to our southeast as a broad area of low pressure dominates the mainland, spinning troughs out in various directions. A high is a bit far off to the west. Winds still persisting from an easterly aspect, up to 20 knots, although lighter inshore and more variable over the west. Let's have a look at the forecast for tomorrow. Hobart becoming cloudy, 22 degrees, Geefston 22 as well with a late shower, Bothwell 22. Early forecast there, Hobart a top of 24 and partly cloudy for Christmas Day. Launceston 23 tomorrow with a late shower, but 29 for Christmas Day and partly cloudy, 19 for Devonport, a late shower or two, 24 on Christmas Day. Burnie a shower or two developing, 18 the top, 22 for Strawn, a fine day for Christmas Day as well. This is an early forecast of course. Curry tomorrow showers developing at 19 degrees. And for the east, Possible late shower for St Helens, 19 the top, partly cloudy for Swansea, bit of cloud over Orford as well. Temperatures in the mid-20s and partly cloudy for Christmas Day in the east, but we'll keep you posted. The UV around the state very high over Hobart and extreme for the rest of the state. On Thursday, a few showers easing in the evening as the winds turn southerly. Showers into Friday, more likely over the north of Tasmania. And on Saturday, showers over the northern half, partly cloudy south of the 42nd parallel. Sunny and warm in Perth tomorrow, warmer in Adelaide, a shower or two over Melbourne. Showers developing for Canberra, Sydney and Brisbane. Alice Springs, a sunny, dry 43. Partly cloudy conditions over the state at the moment, 16 in Hobart, Launceston 18 as well as Devonport. I know, Joe, you've been spending most of your time and struggling on what to get me for Christmas, and I'd like to remind you and the viewers, don't worry about a gift, I'm setting up a wishing well. Aren't they great?
I'll be sure to drop a few coins in. Thank you, Murph. That's all from the team for now. Thanks for your company. We'll see you a little later. Bye-bye.